Hey guys, Deb Horn here at WeBuyHouses.com. Welcome back to another episode of Secrets of Successful Real Estate Investors. And I have a very special guest today. This is Joel Beal, and Joel has started here with We Buy Houses in basically the Dallas-Fort Worth area, around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and he's begun expanding his territory. So I want to talk to you today, Joel, and just hear your story, kind of how you got going in this business, how you've been using WeBuyHouses.com, and kind of what's led to the recent expansion that you're going through with your business, and how We Buy Houses has been part of that. So tell us a little bit about you, kind of where are you in the We Buy Houses system, and tell basically that.
Sure. Well, I'm Joel Beal. We're based out of Fort Worth, Texas, and the name of our company is GBOH Incorporated, and I'll tell you the story behind that. So GBOH stands for Goodbye Old Home. So our original endeavor was to put up a website, goodbyeoldhome.com. William Roddy, 50% owner of the company with me, he came up with the name. I thought it was great. Thought we'd throw up a website, get it out there. People would just come flooding to us. The business would be incredible. It'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. It didn't work, of course, but the name stuck. So it's GBOH Incorporated, and we're based out of Fort Worth. And again, William Roddy and I own the company, and we have a territory that runs from the Red River, which is the border between Oklahoma and Texas. Does not include Dallas-Fort Worth, and basically runs west of Mineral Wells, goes into East Texas, and we've recently expanded our territory to go down through East Texas and into the suburbs surrounding Houston.
Wow. I knew you'd done that, but I got to say that's very cool. So let's kind of talk about, how did you get started in real estate? I have to go all the way back to the very beginning, but kind of just give these guys a little bit of sense of your background, how you came to be in the business.
But the beginning is pretty cool. Okay. So I actually had my first rental house before I even had a house to live in, and I ran across a mentor who ran an ad back when everyone ran ads in papers. I just ran across this guy, and he really had a knack for investment real estate. So I bought my first rental house in 1992, and I just started collecting one a year. And in 2008, when I thought that the real estate market had bottomed out, I became a franchisee and had 5 years with them. And I learned several things, one of which was the trend is the trend. We had not bottomed out, so what you think doesn't matter. It's only the numbers that count.
Yeah.
So I did learn that lesson, and was a franchisee for 5 years.
And this was with the Ugly franchise.
Yes, that is correct.
And
based here
for 5 years you were in there?
I was five years in there, and I did not renew my franchise agreement, mm-hmm. and I went independent. And when I went independent, Will and I joined forces, created a separate company, and that's when we came up with goodbyeoldhome.com. Mm-hmm. And we thought with some marketing, some advertising, a snappy website, we'd make a lot of money and life would be good. We did not make a lot of money. We did not get a lot of leads, and while I had learned a lot about marketing from my previous experience, it just wasn't enough, because people, we all know how it works. People do business with people that they know and trust.
Right.
And in my mind, I think I'm a big deal. Mm-hmm. In Will's mind, he thinks he's a big deal. We think we're big deals, but no one knows about it, and nobody cares. And there's a million people out there with snappy websites and snappy testimonials. It doesn't matter. They do business with people they know and trust. And I wasn't getting that. And so we did some investigation. I certainly wasn't going to do the franchise thing again, but I needed something. We were just starving. Mm-hmm. I needed something. And the problem is when you're doing this by yourself, and I'm a huge fan of partnerships. I believe in partnering on everything. No one person can contain all the knowledge you need. Mm-hmm. The more I learned about marketing, the less I learned that I knew. I became dumber as I learned more.
And I feel that every day.
It was a humbling experience, and that's when we came across We Buy Houses, and the experience has been very positive. It's so positive that, as mentioned, we basically doubled the size of our territory, mm-hmm. and might even expand again if it's available. We've had a really good experience because people know who we are. We have that trust factor because they've seen us, they've seen the brand, they've seen the logos. Sometimes they mistake other logos for ours. Sometimes we're in a town we've never been in before. Oh, I've seen your signs.
Yep.
Yeah, no, you haven't.
I hear
but
that all
whatever,
the time,
yeah. I saw a We Buy Houses sign on the curb. Trust me, that wasn't mine, but close enough. But people know you, they like you. And when we get in front of people, because we really want what's best for that person, even if we don't buy the house, but we got to get in front of that person, and that's where the marketing comes in. That's why the We Buy Houses thing has really worked well for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, before we kind of talk about some of the successes, I did want to just ask you a question about your experience with a franchise. What were some of the challenges that you think of the franchise system that don't exist with the We Buy Houses? We license the territories exclusively to a single business owner like yourself, and so it's different than a franchise. And I was just wondering, what was it about the franchise you think that made it a challenging model for you to succeed within that?
The financial overhead was certainly an issue. If you're making enough money, then maybe it doesn't matter. But both of us owners are cheapskates. So the financial, the monthly financial commitment was a problem. The sharing of a territory was a problem. And, I'm not as big a baseball fan as some people are, but in statistics, you can have a relatively predictable outcome, but the distribution of that outcome is random. So when you share a territory and you get every, say, 10th lead or every 15th lead that comes in, the uneven distribution of results means you can go through some incredibly long dry spells, and then you can hit a home run, and then you go through dry spells. It's unpredictable. And you can only throw so much money at it, advertising-wise, to smooth that out. It's a challenge. That sharing of the territory is probably the biggest challenge. I could have put up with the financial burden, but not having exclusive territory, and I understand why they don't do it. But it just makes it very difficult. And it also means that you pretty much have one shot at the customer, because after a certain period of time, they go back into the queue again. And we know how, look, we know how consumers work. It's like when we buy a mattress. If I don't even know I need a mattress until I can't take it anymore. And then all of a sudden I'm shopping, then I see the price and I go, oh, never mind, right?
Right.
Well, I throw those cards away. I don't keep a file with everyone who sells mattresses. So 6 months from now, I may very well talk to the same person again and never even know it. And when you own a territory like we do, they're talking to you again. And when you don't own the territory, you don't know who they're talking to. I was wondering, just, this is like a tiny little question in the whole spectrum of things, but if you're only getting 1 out of 10 leads in that system, and that lead is a wholesaler, who's just looking for a cash buyer, do you get a credit for that, or do you just, that's luck of the draw? That's the luck of the draw. Is it? And there's no way to, you get vendors, you get cleaning companies.
Yeah, you'll get people calling you to do painting or
real estate agents.
Yeah,
there's no way to police that.
Oh wow. Well, let's. I'm glad you got out of that and into a system that's working for you. I'd like to spend some time talking just about what your business model is. As a lot of these folks out there, they're buy, fix, flip folks, or they're wholesalers, or they're buy and hold folks, and so and then we even have in We Buy Houses offices like Memphis that do turnkey. So the turnkey, they sell the finished product to someone and property manage it. And so, what's your business model for GBOH? And and are you thinking of expanding that, or kind of tell us about how your business works? What do you guys do?
Well, first off, I believe in two things that seem like they're contradictory, but they're not. Number one, I believe in partnerships. Strongly believe in that. But I also believe in vertical integration as much as possible. Now, clearly, I drew the line at marketing. I'm not going to do that myself. But we look at every possibility to capture revenue, to capture profit, and reduce costs. So here's what we do. We exist to serve people at their highest real estate needs, and that's where it all begins. And what we mean by that is when we talk to somebody on the phone, when we look at their house, when we make an offer on their house, we're looking out for their best interest, because they probably don't know what their best interest is. We're the professionals, they're not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it means we buy the house. Sometimes it means we don't. Sometimes it means we list the house. We have agents in our company too. I'm one of them. So our first priority is what's best for that person.
Right.
And you can't think just financially. I traded in my Jeep a couple weeks ago, and I thought I got top dollar for it until I went on the website and saw how much they were selling it for. And I go, now I know how they make money.
But it was convenient.
But
right?
I'm not going to mess with this thing.
I trade in all my cars.
Exactly. So it isn't just financial. It's the whole picture. Yeah. And you can't pretend to know what's best for that person. You have to let them lead you and stay about half a step behind them. So we start the journey with what's best.
Yeah.
We talk about it. And if what's best is buying their house, then we will buy their house and we will buy it at our numbers. And when we buy at our numbers, then our exit strategy is easy. It's whatever makes sense. Sometimes we wholesale, but our preferred model is full service retail to sell it on MLS. We're very fortunate.
Meaning you buy it, renovate it, and sell it as a completed product.
Take it all the way out.
Right.
My partners are general contractor. We have our own crews. We have our own equipment. We have our own warehouse. We have our own materials, our own tools. We have our own everything. About the only thing we don't do is slab foundations. We do it all, and we're good at it.
Sounds like it.
And we like the really junky houses because we like taking a house right down to the studs, and we like selling somebody. We call it workforce housing, an affordable house with new plumbing, new electrical, new HVAC, new insulation, new drywall, new subfloor, new flooring, new roof, new windows, new doors, new everything. They're moving into a new house built on top of us. We love that model, but we only have so many people, and we only have so much equipment, and sometimes it does make sense to wholesale it out. Sometimes it makes sense to, what we call a wholetail, which is we fix the big items, the roof, the foundation, those things that it takes to get it mortgageable, if you will. And sometimes we'll just put it out on MLS as a white box special. We don't do that a lot. I'd love to get into the whole turnkey property management. We just don't have the infrastructure for that right now. And we may not. There's plenty of good property managers in this area. I don't really see the big demand for it. But maybe in our new territory, as we get into some of the more rural areas of East and South Texas, we might find it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, Joel, tell me a little bit about your team. It sounds like you guys really, the really cool thing that I think you just explained was you guys are solution providers, and you're kind of a full-service real estate company, and you can do everything from listing their house to buying it and flipping it, or the whole things that you described. Tell me about the team that you have assembled that allows you to accomplish that.
Well, it starts with the two owners. So William Roddy, he's half owner. He's the general contractor side of things. He will buy houses. He will sell houses.
He told me he does all the work.
He does all the work. I'm telling you, he really. Who knows what I do? And he's very good at all.
That's the way I am him.
Yeah. I'm the other half of the company, and I'm a licensed realtor, so I'll do some of the listing. I probably do about 60 to 70% of the buying, and I oversee all of the selling. And beyond the two owners, we have one real estate agent in addition to myself, Claudia. She does all the listings, really pretty much all the listings, and she does a very good job of it. When we put a listing out there, it's done right. The pictures are right. The footage is right. The captions are good. Everything is tight. We put it out there to sell. And we don't go for top dollar either. We need to move it quickly. Just a little sidebar, we have witnessed a lot of people go broke over the last 20 years by being greedy and holding out for that last dollar, not knowing that the market may be turning. And even if it's not turning in general, it might be turning in that neighborhood or in that town. Seen it time and time again. You hold out for that last dollar, and you end up sitting on this thing.
Yeah.
So we do sell them inexpensive. We go a little below market. And because of that, we sell them very quickly, so we're transaction oriented. We have another gentleman, Carlos, who works in our company, and he oversees, really is helps Will on the construction side mostly. We have a lady named Lauren who handles a group of counties for us in the south that are fairly rural. So there's not a lot of transactions down there, but there's really good business down there, and she handles that, and she's in that area. And then Will has working for him a number of crews. He has quite a few crews that he keeps together as a team, so the team can go from house to house. And these teams will have varying sizes. One team has 6 members. They go in and do the big jobs. Another team will have 2 members. So he has a number of teams that stay together. And we'll even go as far as, we provide lodging and housing when they're staying out of town. We have a travel trailer and RV they can stay in if they want to, just to make it a little more convenient. And that's really our team. We do call in some contractors from time to time, but not often. In fact, many cases we'll go out and we contract our services to other investors.
Oh, that's a new is that a new business model for you as far as
it's fairly new. Will's been successful enough in assembling some really good teams that work hard and provide value for the money. And we've gotten good enough at design, and I'm not talking just the aesthetic, the whole TV thing you see, but taking a house and looking at the design of the house and how can we make the design a little different, not spend more money, just make it different to make it more attractive, maybe even save some money. We're really good at that.
Yeah.
And so when an investor uses us to do their construction work, they'll generally save some money. They'll save a little bit of money, and they will have a house that's easier to sell. And then if they package it with us, we'll list the house for them. We even have a partnership with a mortgage broker. So if you use our mortgage broker and our title insurance company, we'll even pay the buyer's title insurance for them, just to kind of keep it all packaged in-house. We do that for our own houses, and we'll do that for select investors too.
Yeah, that's pretty. I think you could, like you said, partnering seems to be at the cornerstone of what you guys do. One of your secrets to success. And as we think about how you've been growing recently, obviously we talked a little bit about how much the WeBuyHouses.com branding has helped. What type of marketing has worked for you recently to bring in the last few deals? Well,
this may not be the We Buy Houses company line, but the answer is very little. It's been, we haven't done much, okay? But let me tell you exactly how it works. So, of course, we get the organic leads, just the organic SEO kind of searching around. And those really seem to be high quality leads. I don't know if they're higher quality than I'm used to because of the geography or the time or the brand, but we get motivated buyers, and they're not argumentative. It was in the past we'd get leads and they immediately act like they don't want you to buy their house. They're arguing with you, and we don't get that. We get really high quality people who have a need. It's great. And then in addition to that, we're doing mailers. And that's actually it. We have ideas. I'm probably going to put up a couple of billboards. I still haven't signed the contract because we really don't need more leads right now, but you have to think about the future. And I'm sure we'll get around to some of the paid internet advertising that you guys offer. But we haven't needed to. We drop mailers. These mailers work wonderful. And we drop them every other month. We don't even drop them every month. We just don't have enough people to handle the phone calls. It works great. They're motivated sellers. I have found that a lot of our sellers are more knowledgeable these days. Apparently they've been hit up with wholesalers. I've had a number. And I've had.
They ask questions to figure out.
And good questions.
Like, do you have money?
Good questions too. I appreciate those questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I can talk about myself all day, and it's just chatter. Nobody cares. But when you ask the question, you're interested in the answer you would have asked. Yeah, I love these questions we get. You know, are you going to close the property? Are you going to sell it to somebody else? I had an offer, and next thing you know, there's fees, and then they didn't like the water heater. Are you going to do that to me?
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking my whole presentation and giving it to me. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
But the leads are great. We're doing very little. We're dropping some mailers in some of our territory every other month, and it's keeping our pipeline full.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you speak to is just the WeBuyHouses.com brand attracts actual motivated sellers, like, you know, people that they know what it is, and it seems to be a magnet for the right kind of seller, you know, that fits.
It seems
our solution, you know, that solution, the cash purchase solution.
It
fits.
seems to work, and a couple of these sellers have ended up being listings. They just didn't want to go through the traditional real estate agent thing, and honestly, we took them through the traditional real estate agent thing. For some of our sellers, that was the right thing for them.
Yeah.
And we gave them 2 sets of numbers. Make up your own mind, but it's pretty obvious if you put up with the inconvenience and uncertainty of a retail sale, you will make X more money. Is that worth it to you? But even then, they're not tire kickers. They're really people that want to sell their house. Now, we do attract wholesalers too. But getting back to our earlier conversation, we own the territory. It's our territory. Every phone call that comes in is ours. That's our geography. I'm happy to talk to wholesalers. I don't care. It's not a wasted phone call. When the phone rings, I no longer think, oh man, there's $350.
Yeah.
I think, oh goody.
Right. Yeah.
One of my people's calling me. And if it's a wholesaler, that's fine. We work with you. We'll buy from you. We'll sell from you. Whatever. We've even created a little packet for wholesalers. Here's how we work with you. Here's how we'll pay. It's just been a wonderful experience.
Yeah, awesome. As you've grown the business, how do you fund the deals? What's your sources of capital, and are you looking for more sources? Because people are always looking for guys like you, to be honest, that can help them, you know, get a return on their capital. So, what's your funding like, and tell us about that.
We were just having this conversation 2 years ago. If you threw $10 million at us, we would not have been able to spend it, not wisely. Today, with the pipeline we have, we could wisely spend it. Currently, virtually all of our deals are funded through private investors, family offices, if you will, self-directed IRAs. It's a very good deal for them. They make above average interest. They have a secured interest in the house at a discount. So from day one, the house is worth more than what they've borrowed, loaned us on it. And as the days go by, and our crews work very quickly, very quickly. Yep. Every day that goes by, that investment's worth more money. And so it's a very secure,
a good point. Yeah.
It's a very secure, easy way for them to make really good money. But we appreciate that because they give us flexibility. They allow us to go into a deal, a potential deal, as if we're writing a check for it, because we really are. And so it makes us better buyers, and it makes them money. So that's a predominant source of our funding. We have recently sold a few of our own real estate holdings, our personal holdings, Will and I have, and we're loaning ourselves hard money. And we pay ourselves the same interest we pay
a good deal.
Our friends and family. But yes, you can have too much money. We've seen many instances in history where companies have too much money. Uber is a good example. So yes, we're always looking for more funding, but generally this comes from private offices, family offices, private lenders, who we work one-on-one with. If they choose to, they can come by and see their project. After a few years, they no longer seem to care, but they know where they're at. They like to drive by. One lady in particular, and she's a very good real estate investor herself, so we value her opinion, but she likes to drive by, make suggestions, and we take them because she knows how to sell houses. We have a great relation with our investors.
Well, and it's important. You've developed the processes to have a relationship with investors. You know, as far as how they participate and get, you know, the ownership in the project and paid at the end, and the whole that whole process that you put together is scalable, I would imagine.
It's scalable, it's repeatable, and it's really about the details. We use the same title company over and over again. We know how they work, they know how we work. Every check on the checklist gets done. It gets done on time. It's repeatable. We do what we say we'll do. Things don't get overlooked, at least not often.
You want to mention those guys? Because I've worked with them too.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we use a Simplified Title Company here in Fort Worth. They're great people to work with. Martin Garcia and his team, Courtney Meredith, we were just there today. We make our own coffee there now. They're wonderful people. When we sell a house, we use them again, and then we usually use Brad Boswell with Supreme Lending up in Plano as our mortgage partner on the outbound side. So when we buy the houses, we have a safe, secure, quick, speedy, painless way for our sellers to sell us their houses. We go to them. They don't have to come into the office for the notary. Everything's explained to them. We're a single team. We speak the same language. When our escrow officer talks to them as if I'm talking to them. And then when we sell the property, we'll cut them a deal, use our lender. We pay your title policies for you. Again, it's a tight, seamless thing. And getting back to our investors know that we churn these houses quickly. And while in the short run, that disappoints them because we don't keep their money out there very long, but we keep reusing it. And we're a reliable way for them to keep money placed in the market, and we don't overlook those details that'll torpedo. Because even in today's market, you can screw it bad enough to make a house unsellable. It is possible. We've seen it happen.
You know, there were a couple of tying up some loose ends, things that we talked about. I thought one was going to have Josh put up on the screen a couple of shots of your truck. You have this beautiful wrapped truck with the We Buy Houses, basically a rolling billboard. But the other thing I was impressed with when I was over at your office recently is you talked about they actually have a trailer, a camper type thing, am I calling it the right thing, that when your crew is working on a project that's a little far out, they can literally pull this thing out there, put it next to the house.
I tell you, you can't. I can't explain how lucky I am to have a great business partner. Okay, he's as cheap as I am, which is saying a lot. But sometimes you got to know when to say when. And the fact is, we probably own more vehicles than we need, but we own them for a reason. And it's not just the one truck you saw. We have several trucks, and pickups, and trailers, and even dump trailers with We Buy Houses on it.
It's on everything. And it's on the camper.
It's on the camper. So like the travel trailer you saw, it's a
trailer.
It's a toy hauler. It's a big one too. So you can carry your tools and supplies in the back. It's got a shower and beds up front. It takes a big truck to pull that thing. And we have the big truck, by the way. It's kind of fun. We have plenty of vehicles. We have big trucks, medium trucks, pickup trucks, trailers, campers, dump trailers. And we do it for a couple of reasons. Number one, we haul so much garbage off. It's cheaper for us just to own our own dump trailers. To get crews to travel and to do good work, because we don't want them rushing through it, even though we want them to stay on it. It's in our best interest to buy a travel trailer for that crew to stay in so that they're comfortable, they can cool off, they got a place to cook their meals, to eat, to sleep, don't have to worry about traveling, don't have to worry about the hassles of that. It's really in our best interest. Plus, it's a mobile billboard. Nobody cares who Joel is, nobody cares who Will is, and most people don't even know how to say GBOH Incorporated. But when you see the WeBuyHouses.com on the side of a truck or a pickup, I mean, we've sold houses that way. We've sold houses before they were even ready that way. It's a wonderful thing for us. Yeah,
it's working out good. Sounds like it. Let's see. In wrapping up, I'm just thinking about a couple of other loose ends, because we're thinking about what are the secrets to success for you guys, and One of the things that you and I were talking about before the video was kind of building off our licensee in Waco, Stephen Johnson. Stephen, Waco's not a huge city, but it is, it is the largest city in that area of Texas. But Stephen talked about he was finding the opportunities like in the donut around Waco, the smaller towns that were almost like the suburbs to Waco, and that's where, as people were looking for good housing, entry-level housing, there's nobody building new entry-level houses, right? And so there's investors like you guys that are going, and like Steven and these guys that are going out. Sometimes it's into the towns that are not the big cities, but the ones around them. And that kind of describes a lot of your territory. You're around the Dallas-Fort Worth market. The other thing, I'll shut up here in a second, but the other thing that you said was that most of your population is in Collin and Denton County, which you own, but most of your deals are coming from the smaller cities and counties around. So, tell us a little bit about that. These, how has that worked for you, as far as finding these deals in this outer donut? Is that true?
That is
Has
true.
That been true
no,
for
no,
you?
No, that's very true. And I'm going to work backwards. One of the advantages of being a licensed real estate agent, part of the NAR and Texas Realtors, is we have access to economic data. Mm-hmm. Maybe we don't all use it, but we have access to it. And you can see the trends, and the numbers don't lie. And so the first thing we have learned is don't guess on anything. If the number isn't there, find it. Mm-hmm. Make it a number, draw it out on a chart, follow the trend. We're just trend followers. But here's where we're at. We exist to really do two things: provide the best possible solution for these people looking to sell their house, to do them right, whatever right is, even if it means walking away, even if it means giving them free advice. But on the other hand, we exist to provide workforce housing. We are workforce housing people. We give you a safe, reliable, clean, good-looking, affordable house. Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And we provide people with really good deals on houses. So the question becomes this: you're a working person. You're making $70,000 a year, $50,000 a year, $30,000 a year, whatever that number is. You need a place to live. Are you going to rent? Are you going to buy? Where are you working? Can you work remote? And if you can't work remote, how far do you have to drive? And when people start putting this together, they have come to the conclusion that these outlying towns provide a better quality of life, and they can put up with the commute. Mm-hmm. It's that simple. Yeah. Because it really comes down to, am I going to, and think about where you and I were, where all of us were years ago when we were starting out. What would you do today? You'd have a choice to make. Am I going to live in a cheap apartment, which, if you're single, has its advantages maybe. Am I going to live in a rental house? Maybe, maybe not. Mm-hmm. Am I going to move out a little further and own a house? And there's no right answer.
Right.
But the point is, if your answer comes to owning, you might not be able to afford to own here. How far can you drive? And the answer, the market's coming to us. We're going to the market. We're not making the market. We're following the trends, following the numbers. And yes, people can afford to live in, if you're familiar with Texas geography, they can afford to live in Sherman and work in McKinney. It's less than a 30-minute drive. You can spend 30 minutes driving across McKinney. Mm-hmm. And you can live in Sherman for 35% less. If you want to move up the road to Denison, another 15 minutes, knock another 10% off. People are coming to these economic conclusions, and we're just there to give them houses. So yes, these outlying smaller towns have been great for us. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to that same success around Houston as well. We're not going to be a player in the Houston market, but maybe we can be a player for those who work in some of the outlying areas of Houston, who are willing to drive to Cleveland and to some of these smaller towns for a house that's $200,000.
Yep. Two more questions. One of them is just, let's see, It's July 2021, and we just came out of this coronavirus situation. It seems like that's why a lot of people are now like more willing to move out from the populated areas because they figured out how to work from home and all that kind of stuff. And now we're starting to hear, well, we just had this crazy year in the housing market. In many markets, after so many years of appreciation, we just saw 15%, 20% jumps in some markets. Kind of crazy. I'm starting to hear some rumors that the housing market may be kind of peaked or topped out where it's at. I was just wondering, what are you seeing in the housing market with prices, with their expectations? Do you think the housing market's going to continue going like this, or do you have a feeling that we might be looking to level out or maybe kind of pull back a little bit?
Your observations are correct. And if anyone says they know what's going to happen, they're lying.
They're
lying. Run.
Yeah. And
certainly don't pay for their class either.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what we do in our company. Lawrence Yun, who's the economist with the National Association of Realtors,
Mm-hmm.
I follow him closely and I
I
pay
do too.
attention to him. He's one of the best economists of our generation.
He's been doing it for years.
He's been doing it for years, and he just happens to work. He just happens to work for the National Association of Realtors. Likewise, Bob Costello is an economist who works for the American Trucking Association. Trucking and housing are really leading indicators of the economy. Mm-hmm. Trucking is reflective of what people are consuming or buying, and housing is how much they think they can afford to spend based on the jobs they have. They're both wonderful indicators. But that's on a macro level, and the economy in general can be doing great. It's like a Ronald Reagan quote. Ronald Reagan said, "It's a recession if your neighbor loses his job. It's a depression if you lose yours." Likewise, the economy can be doing great, except maybe not in Cook County. Mm-hmm. It can be doing great, except maybe not in the 76011 area code. Mm-hmm. So that's a start. And then Dr. Jim Gaines, he's with the Texas A&M Real Estate Institute. I listen to him pretty closely. And these people will give you the macro trends, but the fact of the matter is it's days on market and it's median price. Mm-hmm. What is the median price? What's the days on market? Forget about inventory right now. It's so low, it doesn't matter. The numbers become insignificant. And when you see the median price start to level, then it's time to just wonder. Nothing goes up in a straight line forever. So you wonder, maybe not do anything. But when the days on market starts to expand, and remember, there's about a 3-month, from what I've seen, I've been through 2 crashes now. So there seems to be about a 3 to 6 month lag time between when the numbers really start to level and then you start to feel it. Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen that yet, but it could happen. We watch those numbers very carefully all the time because it worries me too. I don't want to get stuck with a bunch of overpriced houses, and we're paying up for houses right now. Mm-hmm. Furthermore, the price of materials has gone up so much, we're putting a lot of money into these houses. So we're treating each house as a 3-month project, and that hedges our bets. We're not holding on to them for appreciation. If we keep them for a rental, the cash flow must justify it, or we don't keep it. We do not bet on the appreciation. That being said, we haven't seen any signs of slowing down yet. Job creation is still high. There's still great demand for jobs. We are entering a period of inflation that I know the government statistics don't seem to reflect that yet, but we are in inflation. We will see that there's wage inflation, and wage inflation is what feeds demand for houses. So the fundamentals are there for continued growth.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I don't necessarily believe the fundamentals. So we just watch the numbers every month. And when we price a house, and we keep an eye on the after repair value, we comp our houses when we buy them, comp them when we sell them, and sometimes we comp them in the middle. And yes, we've gotten lucky and sold our houses for more than we thought. But we've also paid up for materials too. So the end result, the margin's about the same. We're just very careful. We treat each house as a 3-month project from start to finish. That's why Will's crews are so critical to our success. We've got to be in and out. There's you can take next week off if you want, but we need to be putting in 12-hour days for the next 14 days to get this house done. We just have to do it. We'll pay for that. No one works for free, but we need to move these houses and to keep them going just in case.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we're going. It'll be real interesting to see where 2021 lands. Can't predict it. Doesn't matter if I did, I'd be wrong anyway.
I've always had successful investors say to me, look at it, I'm just going to buy and sell at any point on the curve, and if it's going up or down, I'm just trying to
and to your point,
quickly, and things don't change usually in 3 months.
They don't.
Too dramatic.
2 to 3 months, 6 months they start to change.
Yeah,
but I will tell you, I would advise everyone to be careful. It's easy to get sloppy in marketing our houses when we're ready to sell them. You know, just throw some cheap pictures with a half-crooked iPhone photo and be done with it. Wrong, because today, hard to buy, easy to sell. Could be a whole different deal come Christmas. And we have to maintain that discipline of marketing our houses for sale as if it's hard to sell houses, because when it happens, we won't know it's here until it happened 3 months ago. And we'll look at our inventory and go, why? And now we're stuck. So we have to maintain that discipline and pretend like the crash is coming, even if it never does come. But to your point, it really doesn't matter if it's going up or down. You ride the trend. You know what the trend is. Our numbers and our ratios are still the same. We buy by the numbers, and that's it. It doesn't matter which way it's going.
And if the strategy is buy and hold, we're in a market where housing's so expensive that it seems like a lot of people are renting. So even if the market was to go in a downturn, I would imagine your renters, your rental properties are pretty safe. They're probably going to stay occupied. And
if the cash flow justifies it, we're participating in one new build-to-rent development here locally with a development partner. We believe build-to-rent is a trend that's here to stay. We see the numbers telling us that home ownership for some people tomorrow may be like car ownership is today. It wasn't that long ago, 30, 40 years ago, most people paid cash for their cars. Them days are long gone. Now they're financing them, and now a lot of people, especially younger people living in inner cities, maybe don't need a car. Maybe they rent one when they need it. Maybe they call the Uber or Lyft. And we see that happening with houses too. You look in downtown Arlington where I live, and who can afford to live down there unless you're renting? Nobody. So, build to rent is a trend that's here to stay. But again, the cash flow has to cover things because you can't bet on the appreciation.
Boy, it's been a great talk. I think we always say we're going to do a 20-minute video, and then I don't know how long this has gone, but it's gone a while. And so I really appreciate your time and telling us your story. And as far as if people are watching this, and let's say they're private lenders or investors, say in the Dallas, Fort Worth, or East Texas markets, how would they get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Well, first I will tell you, if you're considering a way of expanding or improving your real estate business, I love the We Buy Houses family. They're solid, they're honest, they do more than they say they'll do. Everything I was told before I signed up has actually been better than I was told. It's been a great experience. Highly recommend it. You get credibility, you get a name. They do ask that you maintain some pretty high ethical and moral standards, which I'm sure weed some people out. But I highly recommend it.
You guys are good.
If you're an investor or someone that's looking to place funds in a place other than equities or commodities or futures markets, think about real estate. There's a number of companies and people out there, our companies included, that are willing to work quite hard to earn you a good return. So you can contact me, Beal at WeBuyHouses.com, JBEAL, WeBuyHouses.com, or you can look us up on the website and give us a call at 817-438-0098.
Great. We'll put that at the bottom of the screen too, so hopefully they already saw that. But with that, I think we'll call it a wrap for today. Did you have any other points that you wanted to make as we had this remaining time with the folks?
You're a good interviewer. Nice job.
Well, I do want to close with a couple of, additional comments. We are having the We Buy Houses conference coming up in September 21 to 23. And we're going through the sign up for that right now. So if you're in WeBuyHouses.com and you haven't seen that, reach out to me or send us email at support@WeBuyHouses.com and we'll get you hooked up for the conference. So we really want to get everybody at the conference this year. And I think for those of you that might be thinking about WeBuyHouses.com and watching the video to kind of see what makes us tick, or guys like Joel, how they do what they do, we'd love to have you involved with this community. Like Joel said, the community of people that we have here are guys like you. They're seasoned real estate professionals. Most of you guys are doing multiple things. In other words, if you're a young, just in the business wholesaler, this is probably not for you. But if you're a seasoned real estate investor that's looking to kind of take your business to the next level, we think this is a great fit for you. And
I'll be there. I wouldn't miss it for the world. There's some people I really want to hear what they have to say.
Community that, when we started this thing, we had, I guess you could have imagined the community was going to be awesome, but we didn't really realize that. I used to say this is about brand, systems, strategies, and support. And we added an additional bullet there of community, because we started to realize there's a lot of people that are in this, not just for those things, but for the community. Where else can you get together with guys like Joel? With guys like Travis and Janie and Jansen and all the other people that we've had in the series. So we just say to you, if you're a professional real estate investor looking to take it to the next level, definitely let us know. You can call us at 877-998-5997. Talk to Mike, or send Mike an email at mike@webuyhouses.com. Mike's our business development director. So throwing a little commercial there at the end for the conference and for the brand. And do appreciate your time today, and look forward to working with you more in the coming months and seeing your success.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.
Anyhow.